Okay, ready.
It's loud, and it's loud. It's loud just like it
Super
should
loud.
be. That's exactly how it should be.
Ouch.
Loud and in your ears, and we are in there. God, feels good in here. Nice and warm and fuzzy and a little sticky in some spots, but it's good to be in here. God, thank you for having us. Thank you for putting us inside and tuning in. God, it's got to be sweet. Look, you guys, another episode of Heavy Bangs. Right out of the gate, I just want to let you know the rooster isn't gone yet. I thought it was gone. I was going to start this episode and I was going to say the rooster's gone because they've been bringing the rooster inside during the night and early mornings, but the rooster comes out during the day to play. And so they just have a couple more days before they really kind of legally have to remove the rooster and not kill it and put it in a happy home. So hopefully a couple of days, things will kind of be back to a good place, and a good place where we're sleeping well and where we're feeling well. Good. Okay. Well, here we are. Do you have anything you want to say to the listeners? All these heavy bangers out there? Welcome them.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening.
26.
26.
I think 26 was the downloads. So thank you, 26.
You never want to reveal the numbers on the actual podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, because okay. You never don't ever no disrespect, but never do that again. You can't do that. You don't tell someone that that's a very low number.
Yeah, I know. But also there's 26 people who are listening.
There's 23 listeners.
Oh, it was 23.
23 listeners.
Oh.
This is
26.
that's what I mean. See, now it's less than what it was a few minutes ago. And people are going to think that it's just not, you just don't want to say that kind of stuff. You'll want to thank the listeners and thank them for coming, but never label their number.
Okay, I won't do it again.
No, you can do whatever you want. I'm not not the kind of guy who's going to tell you what to do. And now that we're married and happily married and in love, I'm not going to try to control you or make you do or not do certain things.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that is love. And that is what relationships are about. Relationships are about being in love and just letting a soul be a soul. You guys, I want to get right into it. I don't know how to say this, and I'm not trying to disappoint my listeners, and I certainly don't want to send any of them into a worry. But I went to the doctor, and I talked to them about this rash thing that I've been having going on for a while now, and they didn't really know what to say about it. They just said it's quite peculiar, that it's continuing, that you're having this experience so often, so frequently. But they don't know what's causing it. They don't know. They don't think it turns out they don't think it's a jock itch. They don't think that. They think that it's happening way too often for it to be jock itch, which for those of you who don't know what that is, maybe you're someone who doesn't have a jock, or maybe you're someone who doesn't have a place for that area to be itched. But it's basically it's a bit of a fungal infection. These are just this is just for it, and I say fungal in a way of it's a fungus.
Like ringworm.
Yes, but there are no...
Or athlete's foot.
Yes, but there's no feet involved and there's no worms. But it is kind of the same symptoms where it's itchy. It's basically just itchy and it becomes a little red and inflamed.
Ringworm isn't a worm. It's a fungus. It's just it's circular in shape and kind of looks like a little worm on your... It doesn't actually look like a worm on your skin at all, but it is circular. Like a little circle.
Okay, well, I don't have that, and you know that. You know that I don't have the ringworm. But here's what I also want to say. If you do have ringworm, respect to you, because that's got to be a lot that you're dealing with, because I know what I'm dealing with here is a lot. And it takes a bit of patience. But I went to see the doctor, and the doctor, they basically wanted to draw blood, and because they're concerned that I have diabetes. And I am a 33-year-old healthy plant-based male who quite possibly has diabetes. And I don't know if it's type A or type B or 1 or type 2. But hopefully it's honestly type 0, where it doesn't even exist in my body at all. Because I don't want to have diabetes. I don't want to have to alter any of the ways of living that I am currently living. Because they seem to just...
Alter any of the what?
I don't currently want to alter any of the ways that I am currently... Ways that I'm currently living. Ways? Maybe, I mean, that was for all the other listeners, for people who say it that way. But I don't want to have to do any of that. And I don't feel like I'm going to have to, but I'm just waiting for the blood results, which is kind of like waiting for the COVID test when it first came out. Do I have it? Do I got to worry about it? Am I the one who got it? Are people going to judge me for it? Does this mean that I'm a bad son? All these kind of things. But so it's just a waiting game. And hopefully the results will come back in a couple of days. I wasn't big on the needles. I wasn't big when I went into there. I sat down. There was 2 people in the room. There was a man and a woman. And the woman was a very young woman. I'd say she's almost even a gal. And she was a little jokey jokes, which is fine. You know, I'm obviously not one to shut it down, but here is what I want to say. If I'm coming into your office to have a needle bulged into my skin and you're sucking some blood from it, I don't want any jokes to be had. And it's just out of being courteous, because you don't joke around when you're doing business. I've had this experience before with an IT tech before, where there's a lot of joking around, and he and I had some miscommunication because there was a little too much horsing around when it came to the computer, and next thing you know, the computer wasn't fixed properly. And I didn't leave him a bad review. I just sent him a text, and we kind of worked things out, and he'll be over soon to fix it. But what I am saying here is that if I'm getting blood drawn, please do not joke around. I sat down, and she goes, "Do you like needles?" And I said, I'm not big up on them. And she said, "Well, you have tattoos." And I said, "I know, that's different. They don't go so deep." And it is just a different experience. And she says, "You have nothing to worry about." And the first thing she said after that was, "Oh, you got the arms." And I thought she was complimenting my arms.
I thought she said veins.
Well, she said, you got the arms. And then I was confused. And then she spoke about the veins. You weren't even in there in the office.
Oh, I know. You just came home very upset and told.
Okay, well, I'm telling. Okay, I'm trying to tell the listeners how this this went. I'm fine. I'm not worked up. I'm not worked up at all. But what I'm saying is, she said you got nice arms. You got the veins that I'm looking for, and something along those lines, where she said your veins couldn't get any bigger, and it was in a way where I felt very confident afterward. And it made me think there wasn't going to be an issue. But their jokes continued. And then she goes to poke the needle into my arm and give me a prick. And she goes in and she misses it. She misses the vein. The vein that I could do my own self. I could see it here. I could get it with a clothespin if I really wanted to. But she missed it. And she's joking around with it while the needle is inside of my arm. And she's kind of joking with the other. And even before and here's one thing I want, and this is one, before she even put the needle in, she says to the other guy, she goes, "Oh, God, I don't know if I can do this one. I don't know if I can do this one." That's what she says to the guy. And the guy looks over, and I'm just like, you don't know if you can do this one? And then she goes, "I'm just joking. This is going to be easy." And then she misses. So now I have a needle in my arm. And she can't she's not taking the needle out and putting it back in into a better place where it needs to go. What happens is she calls this older guy to come over, and the older guy comes over and grabs the needle and basically wiggles it around to where the needle is basically tearing up the inside of my arm, and just all of the blood is going into where it needs to go from there. It's not even in the vein. He's just getting internal blood. Anyway, I had my blood drawn. It wasn't a great experience. My arm was very swollen, and it honestly is still tender to this day. It hurts. It hurts when I apply pressure. There. So it wasn't a great experience. All to find out that I might possibly have diabetes. So if any of our listeners are experiencing kind of symptoms of diabetes, or if you've had some sort of encounter with diabetes, please send us an email, heavybangspodcast@gmail.com, and just let us know, is this something to be scared of? Is this something that is going to alter my life forever in a very negative way?
Well, a few things.
Of course.
One, yeah. I mean,
so it
diabetes. I believe something like 40. This might be an inaccurate fact, but I did read in some article that like 40% of people who had died from COVID or got COVID really bad had diabetes.
No kidding.
But hey, I should have fact checked that before I said this here and now.
You should have, but that's fine. Really? 40%?
Something like that.
That's not good. That's not good.
I don't know that you have diabetes. Also, there are different kinds.
I hope that I don't. I know. I listed all 4 of them.
So there's the kind that obviously there's some these aren't like, I don't know everything about diabetes.
I just can't have it. I don't want to have it.
There's the kind that I feel like you've had all your life, where you were diagnosed young. Rarely are you diagnosed older with that one. Is that type 1? I don't know. I don't
know.
You were not ever diagnosed with diabetes before, right?
No one's ever told me this before.
And then
I'm constantly skinny.
Is that a side effect?
It's a side effect of diabetes.
It is?
I think so.
Did you look that up?
No, but if our listeners are out there and they have diabetes and they are on the skinny side, please call and let us know. Continue.
Well, there's also I don't know.
And that's fine that
there's also the diabetes that's often sort of
inflicted.
Yeah.
That you've done from your own self.
From eating really poorly.
So this is basically what the doctor said. She said that she's concerned that I have diabetes, and I said, how is that, and how is it possible that I have that? Because she's saying, because the fungal infection is it is prone to people who have diabetes because they're because they have more skin, they have folds, and the folds are susceptible to have more fungal infection. And I said, listen, doc, I'm not an overweight person.
Because you were on the phone with this conversation.
Because I was on the phone with this conversation.
So she hasn't ever seen you in person?
No. This is not how doctor's appointments work. Since I haven't been to a doctor in person since the before times. So she just assumes that she assumed that I'm an overweight person. Okay. But I would hope that she would have had my paperwork to say that I weigh 145, 150 pounds. Yeah. Of pure muscle. And sex appeal and some bones. But no. So I had to let her know, I'm not an overweight person. And she says, okay. And I said, well, how is it that I could even have this? And she said, well, some people get it from eating a lot of carbs. And I eat bread. I tend to eat bread every day. Yeah, you eat a lot of carbs. This is exactly what I mean. This is what I'm afraid of. Yeah. But anyway, I don't want to spend too much more time on it. But what I do want to just say is that if you guys could just please send your prayers, send your positive reinforcement to the blood lab, and let those results come back positive in a way of that I don't have diabetes. So in a negative way, let me have a negative result. That would be much appreciated. And thank you all to just continuing to listen and enjoy, or really not enjoy, and just continue to support the podcast. That is really what it's about. That's really the only reason we're doing this, is to just have fun. Yeah. Yeah. So it's that time where we need to do a little corrections.
Mm-hmm.
This is a correction episode, so let's just kind of dive into it. We have some major corrections that we need to make from the previous episode.
Well, I don't know if we should call it corrections.
Well, this
but we're just sort of...
Okay, well, we're just kind of...
we're revisiting...
adjusting answers into a better solution.
Okay, but this time I didn't do anything wrong.
You didn't say any facts that were inappropriate. And that is true. She was accurate in her information, except for you didn't really know what a drivetrain was.
I didn't.
And I also didn't really know what a drivetrain was either.
I would like to thank...
If you would, yes, please. We had a listener write in and actually let us know what a drivetrain was. And just go ahead.
Drivetrain.
Who's it from, by the way?
This is from Camillus.
Shouts to Camillus. Thank you for listening. It's a one. I love the name. I love that name so much. By the way,
it is a great name. I believe it's Irish.
Is it Irish?
I think so. Yeah.
Camillus. It's
Camillus.
Camillus. I like it. I do continue. What did Camillus have to say about the drivetrain?
Camillus says drivetrain equals engine plus transmission and associate. Do this again.
We'll take that again. This is drivetrain from Camillus. He wrote in to let us know kind of what it is.
Drivetrain equals engine plus transmission and associated parts. Then goes on to say, sorry, M, love you.
Great. Well, thank you to Camillus for taking the time and effort to just writing into the podcast. How fun is that? We have people writing into the podcast now, and we're just a handful of episodes in, and people are just engaged.
Engaged, yeah. And also, thank you for sending me that little bit of love, Camillus, and feeling for me, because I think
just being uneducated, not knowing really what mechanical parts are in your car.
Yeah, but also I wondered that sorry was that just I'd have to ask.
You probably feel sorry for you.
Sorry for me for sitting here in some of the conversations that you and I.
No, I think he's absolutely sorry that you're just uneducated in the way of automobiles. And that isn't because you're a woman at all, because there's plenty of women who really know the ins and outs of cars. And I've seen them. And I even took a couple classes in high school in auto shop with some of them.
Well, if Camillus would like to write in again and let us know what he meant by sorry, M.
I don't think that he needs to, but I would love it if he want to clear this up. Yeah. But I just don't want to put that pressure on him to let us know.
There's no pressure.
I think it's just simple. I think it's just sorry. And there's really nothing you need to look into it about. But it would be good to know.
What do you have to clear up about last week?
Here's what I do want to say. So last week, there was a moment where in the midst of the podcast, I kind of snapped at little Ninny Muggins, who happens to be an animal that is a cat with 4 legs and a tail. And
you sounded like a tyrant.
And she came... She came into the studio here, and it distracted me, and I kind of snapped at her to kind of get out of the room. And it may have came off like I maybe hit her sometimes, or maybe I leave her outside at night and I don't let her sleep inside, or maybe I don't give her food all the time.
Or that you're verbally abusive.
Or I'm verbally abusive to this animal that doesn't understand English. But I want to let everyone know here and now that I'm not. I'm actually a very soft individual. I'm very sensitive. I take this podcast very serious, I guess. I guess I just wanted it to be perfect, maybe in a way of having no distractions. And I just want to let everyone know that, in fact, I do love Ninny Muggins, and she is still alive. And she is here with us today. She's in the other room, and she's been such a tired cat. And not because I've given her anything to make her that way. She's just sleepy. That's just what cats do. And I just wanted to clear that up. I didn't want anyone to think. And also I do want to say that, I probably haven't been my best the last few days. By a few days, I probably mean few episodes. By that, I mean couple weeks. maybe I haven't been sleeping so well. I haven't been doing what I needed to do for me, for my brain and for my heart. You know, I need to go inward, which is kind of what I've been doing the last few days and been feeling a lot better.
Good.
And I love you.
Oh, I love you.
Okay. So, Ninny Muggins did that. Here's what I kind of want to talk about. I kind of want to...
diving in.
I think we should dive in.
Dive in.
You know, Kratom is a big thing nowadays.
Or Kratom.
Kratom. A lot of people are saying Kratom. That's true. I'm not trying to correct you. I'm not trying to be that guy who corrects people. That's not who I am. That's not in my nature. But it is actually pronounced Kratom.
For sure?
100% Kratom. But you can say it like an American and call it Kratom. And that's what a lot of people do call it. And it's fine if you call it that way. It's really like calling a tomato a tomato.
Kratom sounds sort of like this, like, pompous kind of bougie.
Well,
like
you're putting this personality on it when it is just a leaf. And that is, you don't need to paint it that way because it's not pompous. It's not pompous at all. It's actually pretty quiet, keeps to itself. And it's a very nice leaf. But anyway, yeah, so it is pronounced Kratom. It's actually very big right now. They have it in a lot of like coffee shops or like head shops. They sell it, you know. And
it's not at the gas station in Oregon.
You saw it at the gas station in Oregon. Well, it turns out you can even get it at gas stations now, which is kind of crazy. So for those of you who don't know what it is, Kratom is, it comes from the leaves of the Mitragana, let me try that again, Mitragana especiosa tree. Mitragana especiosa.
Wow.
Thank you. I know my trees.
Impressive.
Yeah, thank you. And this tree, it comes from Southeast Asia, and that's just where it lives. That's where it kind of grows wild and repopulates itself, really.
Like in Indonesia?
Well, that is actually one of them. That's a very good guess. How did you even know that was in Southeast Asia?
Well, I just, we were just talking about Bali last week.
That is true. We were talking about that. And that is actually where Bali is. It's in Indonesia.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, kind of a lot of synchronicities already with this episode connecting to the last episode, which is kind of how I want this show to be, which is great. So, yeah, they're growing wild in Southeast Asia, you know, Indonesia. We also got Malaysia. Thailand is another one, and Papua New Guinea pig. So they're those places. And it's actually like quite illegal. It's kind of crazy that you can even buy it in some gas stations. Because I mean, it's illegal. It's illegal in like Rhode Island, Wisconsin, Indiana, Arkansas, and Alabama. You cannot have any possession of it. You get in big trouble for that. So kind of crazy. Oregon is just kind of giving out free willy, and I guess kind of respect to Oregon on how cool it is, how cool that place is.
Yeah, again, really great, really
great place. But anyway, yeah, it is an interesting, I would call it a drug, because that is actually what it is. It
is a drug.
It's a drug, and you can take it. And just so you know, normally, you know, a lot of times in the Southeastern Asians places, they just kind of chew the leaves. That's kind of what they've been doing for thousands of years for medicinal properties, you could call it. And I'm not even just making this stuff up. This is actually truth, fact based.
This is like Lance learned stuff.
This is kind of like Lance is teaching Mischa learns stuff, but I'm teaching it to you, kind of in a way of Lance learning things to you. So, yeah, ways to ingest it. You know, typically like the most original way, kind of the OG, is chewing on them leaves, kind of chomping on them and letting them kind of sit in the gums and stuff. And another way you can do it is kind of brewing some tea with it. You can brew some tea with it. You can even cook it. And you can cook it, and you can even, if you want to, you can smoke it. And you can smoke it if you want to. But here's what I will say. I wouldn't smoke it. I wouldn't smoke it just because it's better just to have it in a tea.
Can you put it up
the nasal? You can the anus?
Mm-hmm.
You can stick anything up your ass. You really can. And the answer is yes. I didn't include that though because I didn't think a lot of people would like to go that route. But it's a good point. We should keep it open because a lot of people do like to take their vitamins that way. So yes, you actually can take it rectally, and no issues. I mean, get it up there however you need. Whether you kind of blast it up in there, you blow it up in there, or you push it in, whatever you need to do, you can get it in there. And probably will have a kind of a quicker onset time too, because everything goes, it hits you harder when you go in the back door. So you can. That's a great question. That's a really great question. Yeah. But anyway, it is a fascinating drug. I have it. We have it here at the house. We've had it here for a while. Years we've had it. And I even had it last night.
What?
I had it last night. I took it for the podcast. I just wanted to kind of revisit it and kind of see how it was for me.
How was it?
It was good. It was nice. Because I don't remember how much to take. So I did like a teaspoon. And if I remember right, when I did the teaspoon, I was doing 2 teaspoons before. Which was like kind of the heavier. So what happens when you take Kratom at like lighter doses? Basically gives you a lot of energy and will kind of boost your mood. Some could say it even take you out of a depression. And in high doses, it's basically like heroin. It's kind of like a heavy opiate blanket that tucks you into bed at night and lets you sleep nestled in there all cozied up. So, and I haven't taken heroin, just to let everyone know. That's definitely not the roads I like to travel down to. But I am letting you know that it is very similar to it. And it's actually used to, if I'm believing right, it's used to like take people off of opiates, right? It's used to take people off of the heavier narcotics like Oxycontin.
I think people make that choice. Yeah,
people make the choice to do it because
to get
off of it. Because
but I don't think doctors are doing that.
Well, of course they're not. I mean, they don't even know what's going on in between my balls. So, and that's no disrespect to doctors. I would honestly love to have a doctor. If you're a doctor and you're listening to the podcast, you're a fan of the podcast, please send us an email. I'd love to get you in here. Would love to maybe have you take a look at my rash and maybe we could kind of figure out what is going on. Let's get into the bottom of it and figuring out how we can fix this. But back to Kratom. Yes, so it is taking people off of the harder stuff. It's super interesting. I was taking it for a while. I was taking it for how long do you think? It was like probably like a couple months, maybe, if not longer, kind of regularly every day.
I would say a month.
A month.
Tops.
A month tops, regularly every day. And it was great. It really was nice because it would give me a good boost of energy. And it's a good booster for the morning. But there are some side effects.
Yeah.
There are some side effects with it. You were trying it.
Well, yeah, I'm the one that sort of...
You're the one who brought it into our lives.
Yeah, well, because my mom...
Yeah.
Had heard about it.
Right.
And I was experiencing chronic pain at the time.
You were experiencing chronic pain. And chronic not in the way of cannabis in any way. A lot of people associate chronic automatically with pot. This had nothing to do with it. Actually, pot was not in any way, shape, or form involved in her situation at all. No. Continue.
I mean, the chronic pain and the reason for that is a whole other episode.
And we don't even need to get into it because right now, I mean...
We would be here too long.
Yeah.
But so my mom had heard about Kratom.
Say it however is most comfortable for you. I'm not a word Hitler guy where I make you say it a certain way, and if you don't, then I'll probably gas you out or whatever.
And at first, yeah, it did help. It helps with the pain, and I didn't even take that much. I took a tiny bit every morning.
Well, you're so sensitive to drugs anyway. You can't take a lot of them.
No, but all I did was take a little every morning, and it was about 2 weeks. And I wasn't feeling very well. I
What were you
I-
experiencing in your body?
I thought I had the
Start with
flu.
emotionally. What were you feeling? Emotionally, what were you feeling first?
Well, that's a lot because
think
now
about
that's
it.
going back to the chronic
Okay,
pain.
but well, not going back to the chronic pain.
But that's gonna
what
be a
comes to your
part of
head,
it.
like immediately right out of the gate, emotionally? What was the first thing you think you were feeling?
Frustrated.
Okay, perfect. Okay, now go
In my
into
pain?
now go into the physicalities of it. What were you feeling in your body
When I'm sick, or at what point?
right now that makes you in this moment that you're talking about?
What am I feeling?
Yeah, like before you're taking the Kratom.
Before I'm taking the Kratom, I was in a ton of pain. And then
Okay.
I took the Kratom and
Okay.
I'd feel a little better. But then I started getting sick and my symptoms,
That's what I'm asking. The symptoms.
Those-
What were you feeling?
I thought that I had the flu. I threw up. I felt super weak, super, super, super nauseous. And then I look in the mirror one day and I think,
You were blue.
no,
You weren't.
no.
Oh, what were you?
I was very yellow.
That's right. You were yellow.
It was very yellow. And I looked at my eyes and I was like, holy shit, I'm yellow.
Your eyeballs were yellow like the sun.
The whites of my eyeballs were yellow, yes. And I wasn't feeling well, obviously. I already said that. And I told you that I think I needed to go to the emergency room.
Right, which is really kind of a it's a red flag for something needs to be done.
So I went to the emergency room. We both had a show that night. I told you to go on without me.
And I do the show. I can't remember if
You
I did.
did. You
I
went
did the
and
show,
did the
and I probably
was
did well.
at the emergency room.
Did I do well? I probably did well. I think I did.
don't know.
Well. I remember
It was
it.
probably some shithole show in a bar.
First of all, probably shithole or not, I know that I provided.
I hope you did.
I know that if you were in the hospital, in the emergency room, in a lot of pain, awfully sick, and I was going to be at a show, I know I wouldn't do a bad job.
So when I got there, I said, "Hey, look, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm yellow," and
they could see that immediately.
They could. And
they said you were yellow. You're a yellow person.
and they sort of expedited my check-in. I sat in the lobby for less time than I would have without being yellow.
So yellow, kind of being yellow helped you.
Helped me, get in a little faster.
Okay.
And
Well,
then
that's
they
just good to
did-
know for people to know if they're trying to get into the hospital and they're trying to expedite the process.
Yeah, then we did some blood work and we did a ultrasound, I guess, on my liver.
Just to make sure you're not pregnant.
And they decided to keep me in the hospital. And they didn't know what was going on. They said that I had liver toxicity.
Which, break that down. Basically, so
My liver was having a hell of a time.
something was beating on your liver.
Yeah, something was putting my liver through the ringer.
Oh, man.
And I didn't know what it was. And neither did they. And then I stayed in the hospital, which was actually a sort of a delightful experience. The nurses were very good to me. Sometimes they'd put these massaging things on my calves.
Well, it's nice to be taken care of, and
It
it's
is really
nice to
nice to be
have
taken care of.
people do stuff for you.
But I was there a couple nights, and they even they took me in for an MRI, which
is that's for your brain.
No, it's
It's
your
the brain scan thing.
It's your whole body.
The whole body.
You go into this tube.
Oh yeah, in the tube.
And they were, the very tight tube. You've heard about
It's like one of those things when
claustrophobic.
you go to a drive-through at a bank, and you put your money
Yes.
into the tube, and then that's how they.
I know what you're talking about.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is, but for humans, and it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't deposit into an account.
So it's not at all exactly what it is.
But you go inside of it, and it's a tube in a cylinder shape.
Yeah, it's the same. It's a similar shape. And I actually began to cry when they told me that I was going to get the MRI because I said, hey, I don't have very good health care. I'm not trying to be here. I bet here's what this might be. What if it's this stuff called Kratom? I've been taking it for 2 weeks, a little bit in the morning. Do you think it could be this? Do you think Like, if this is it, I just won't take it anymore. Could we maybe not do the MRI? Because I was very concerned about having a gargantuan hospital bill.
Right. And they're probably wanting to make the sale. They probably want to get you to buy the MRI.
I think I want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, the commission on that has got to be insane.
They were very concerned that I was such a healthy person with a very upset liver.
See, this is what I'm saying about me and the diabetes. And I'm not even trying to turn this back on me.
Yes, how's this come back to you?
Well, I'm saying this is exactly how I feel too, because I'm a healthy person. I shouldn't have diabetes. But anyway, continue. So right, you're a healthy person.
We don't know that you have diabetes.
Well, it hasn't been.
Whereas for sure my liver was
innocent until proven guilty.
Okay.
Continue. So you're in the hospital. You're a healthy person. You tell them it's the Kratom.
Yeah, they're not sure. They don't even know what Kratom is.
Of course they fucking don't. You gotta be kidding me.
They probably did a little
You've
research.
Gotta be joking my ass. And I'm sorry, Ryan O'Flanagan, for stealing the line. I know it's your line, but it's in my brain now. You put it in there.
So, can I continue?
Continue, sorry. And I don't mean to get loud like that, but sometimes it's just going to happen. I'm a human being.
Kratom Hospital. Yeah, so anyway, I did the MRI and...
Oh, so you did end up doing the MRI.
I did the MRI. And I was so itchy. My whole body was so itchy because I guess when your liver is having a hard time, I don't want to say your liver's failing because those are some serious words.
Sure.
But when your liver is failing,
is dying, yeah.
And you have jaundice, right? Which is that you're yellow.
And who's this guy? And this is named after a guy named Jaundice?
I don't know.
I think it is. I think it is. I'll have to look that up. I'll correct that next episode. Thank you. And for any of our listeners who actually know the guy, Jaundice, what was his last name? If you could send that into us.
Jaundice was probably his last name, if this is based on a guy.
Jaundice is a first name.
No.
It's a first name. Continue.
So I was super itchy and I don't know why, but your body can get really itchy when your liver is failing. I'm just going to use that word because that's the one that's coming to me.
For sure.
And then in the time I was at the hospital, I'm not taking any more Kratom, and I was feeling a little bit better, and they sent me home, and I never took Kratom again. And and they told me when I left, hey, like, we don't know what that stuff is, but maybe don't take it anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
Did they give you a bunch of like oxycodone when you left?
No, they didn't give me any.
Okay,
drugs.
I was just kind of wondering.
They gave me
like, don't take the stuff, but take some of this
medication.
Stuff. Okay. Sometimes I'm a little weird with doctors. I'm not one to just believe a doctor right away.
Yeah, they literally didn't tell me anything to believe.
It's like, here's the thing, and here's why I asked you. And granted, was I serious about, did they give you Oxycontin? No. But here's what I know. I was pulling coconut oil in my teeth. Okay, you can do that for your teeth. It actually is good for your teeth. Mm-hmm. It breaks down bacteria. It breaks down all the shit.
Yeah, I think it does. Cleans your teeth.
It cleans your teeth. I told that to a dentist.
And whitens.
And it whitens. And who doesn't like to have white teeth? And or even yellow teeth if you're trying to get into the ER. That would probably help you. But here's what I'm saying. I went and told a dentist I was pulling coconut oil. And he basically told me I was a fool. And that isn't going to work. And I thought to myself, of course you're saying that. You're a dentist. You don't want me to have clean teeth because then you're not going to be working as much. Or you're not going to be working with me. So that's the only reason I'm like sending a little joke out there about, did they give you the Oxycontin? I know they didn't. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did.
Yeah, but these are two very different circumstances. And the oil pulling and the dentist versus the failing liver at the ER.
They are too. And that just goes to show you that everything is really kind of circumstantial.
Yep.
So here's one.
Anyway, that's it. It's just that Kratom.
You have to be careful with it.
I took a very small amount every morning for 2 weeks for pain, and clearly my body did not like it, and my liver
was having a hard time digesting it, or working with it, or working together with it, or they're just having a bit of an argument. I don't know. It's a lot going on in your body that was not doing well.
Yeah.
Because of the Kratom.
Right.
And that is and that just goes to show you to be careful with this stuff. If you are going to try this stuff, do your research, pay attention to your body. Here's one thing I do want to say is I was experiencing my own symptoms from the stuff. And I didn't really know it obviously for, maybe a few weeks after she started to know some symptoms. And it took me by surprise. Turns out that me taking Kratom on a regular basis basically doesn't allow me to spray my ejaculate out. And I don't know how else to say that, but that's just the truth. I was having a hard time releasing fluid from my body out of my penis hole. And there was no issue with how tall I could stand, so to speak.
All fluid. You could pee, yeah?
I could pee out of my penis.
Okay.
I could pee out of my penis. And that is basically the only thing I could do out of my penis. I could stand tall. I could be and look, I know this is not what you guys are wanting to hear, but listen. I got to be honest with you. I could achieve a full erection, but I could not get the stuff out. It wouldn't come out. No matter how hard I'd try or no matter how hard I would pull, it would not get out of there. And I didn't know what to do. I thought it was very strange. And I thought to myself, could it be the Kratom? Is it this stuff that is making my body no longer produce the stuff that I used to see all the time come out of my body? And it was in fact the truth. So I had to kind of get it off of my own self.
Yeah.
So I could kind of get off on my own self.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stopped taking it too. Because I actually like spraying my penis. I like doing that. And I don't mean to keep saying it over, but I just want people to know that I enjoy it. It's part of a thing that I enjoy. And I was no longer able to enjoy it from the Kratom. So it's kind of given it, I had to weigh things out. And obviously, I did. And the heavier hand won.
So, pretty
powerful stuff.
Pretty powerful stuff.
So just make sure and do your research, but also try it. Because it's a wonder drug.
But pay attention to your body and how your body feels, because maybe your liver...
It doesn't even matter if your body is feeling hard. It doesn't matter.
Maybe your liver won't be able to...
create semen. And that is the issue. And that is some of the warnings and precautions that you need to know about Kratom going into it.
Maybe your liver won't be able to filter out toxins, not create semen.
Or both.
And so if your liver can't filter out the toxins and all of the toxins stuck in your body...
Your liver does a lot of stuff. Your liver does a lot of stuff, okay? It does a lot of stuff. And you don't even know everything that it does because you're not even a freaking doctor. And I don't mean to say that in a condescending way because you're my queen, my life, my wife. But you don't know what it does. And honestly, probably doctors don't either.
It filters out toxins.
It filters out toxins and it creates semen. So here's the last thing I do want to say about it. Get out there and give it a try so you kind of are, maybe it does work for you. Maybe your liver actually is super beneficial from it. And maybe you actually are looking to not ejaculate.
Also, don't get out there and give it a try. Or don't if you have no desire.
If you don't have a desire, yeah, I'm not trying to make people do stuff they don't want to do. But I'm saying don't be a sheep. Be out there and make your own decisions. And try what you want to try. If you're looking to not do certain things, or you're looking to do certain things, do them or don't do them.
Agreed.
That's what I'm saying. And with that, we're actually going to take a moment and hear from our sponsors.
We have a sponsor. Sponsors or sponsor?
It's a sponsor. You know the sponsor. Okay, you guys. Are you sick of going outside and feeling like there are other beings that are insects flying around you and they are eating the skin off of your own back? Are you just over trying to cool off in a swamp on a hot summer afternoon upon getting out your physical form is invaded by pesky outside houseflies eating the skin off of your own back? Do you dislike mosquitoes? Let me introduce you to Womback. Womback is the leading formula applicator in scaring away small animals that are bugs while also darkening your skin permanently. 3 pluses in 1. With their patented Blue Jew technology, Womback uses humanely farmed bald eagle eggs with pressed agave root to fortify, protect, and darken your skin forever. I've personally been using Womback for a couple of months now, and I've noticed changes. Not much, but a few people have said they can see it in my face and in my body and in my arms and the insides of my legs. But I have just begun this journey, so with time, I know that I will see the results. Let Womback pivot your life into a new direction. A direction where there are no small flying skeleton creatures, where your skin is no longer fair. You can get 15% off your first order by using promo code BANGERS on the Womback website. Again, promo code BANGERS to get 15% off your first order. Womback. Live better. Now back to the episode. Great. So now we're going to check in with our mental health.
So I just want to say that yesterday you had told me about the sponsor. You asked me if I wanted to check it out, and I said, no, I'll just be surprised. And I do have my regrets. And go on. Let's mental health.
Mental health is here. So, just doing a quick little mental health check-in. The reason why we're doing this is because to have a successful podcast, you need to have regularity. And by regularity, I mean consistency. And by consistency, I mean things happening on a semi-regular basis in each episode that makes it kind of congruent to the last, and maybe in a different way, though. So that's why we're checking in on the mental health. I'm doing a quick check-in here to let you know that I have been working on myself. I've been doing some meditation. I've been meditating every day for 15 minutes. It's been great for my brain. It's been slowing me down, and I recommend that you do it. And I recommend that you also try Kratom if you want to. How's your mental health been doing? Have you been doing anything, just a quick little check-in on it?
Well, I did not sleep at all last night.
You didn't sleep at all last night. That is, that's what I'm working with today too, just so all of our listeners know.
I think that part of it is because when I got home, you had the rerun.
I had the fights on. I was having a fight night. Fight night 263 UFC. It was a heck of a fight. It was a heck of a
Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
Leon Edwards.
Leon Edwards kind of pummeled him too, and pummeled him in good, and pummeled him in.
Plummeled him in.
Plummeled him in. Plummeled in Nate Diaz.
He seemed to dominate the first.
He was dominating first
4 rounds.
First 4 rounds was dominating.
But then Nate Diaz really came around.
Right, does his little signature. Nate Diaz at the last, round or two kind of goes full force.
I don't know. Is that his signature?
It's his signature thing he does.
Got it.
And I know this just because I've been watching some fights. I've been listening to the guys. So It's kind of a thing Nate Diaz does.
Entertaining fighter.
Entertaining fighter for sure. Keeps you on your toes. But God, did he just get his face just wrecked. And I'll be honest, I was a tough dude. I was for Diaz going into it. And then I quickly switched to Leon Edwards.
You did?
I did, because the dude is just such an incredible fighter. For him to and here's also what I do want to say, because Diaz is such an incredible, and I'm not even going to talk about the UFC too much longer, but Diaz is such
also, this is an old fight. It didn't even just happen.
It didn't even just happen. But people don't know that because this episode is just kind of happening when it happens.
Yeah.
So the way he fights is so kind of on your toes, because he's doing little tricks, and he's doing little jukes, if you will. Diaz.
Yeah.
But the fact that Leon could just adapt to each and every one of them.
Great fighter.
Incredible. So incredible fight. So that
but also Nate was doing a lot of fucking around.
A lot of fucking around. And I wonder if it worked against him.
Maybe.
Hard to say. And
but you also switched teams easy. You really do.
I
you
do.
Did the same thing with the Poirier-McGregor fight.
First of all, I didn't. Here's the thing about the Poirier-McGregor fight. I went into it, and you know that McGregor is he weighs on my heart. And yeah, did I think that Poirier was having a little bit more of a cleaner act about it? Yes. And did I get a little wrapped up in the I'm just a good guy doing good things kind of thing bullshit? Yes. Do I know that McGregor is really the best? I do know that. And do I know that he will be back? I don't know that. But what I do know is I'm a big McGregor fan. And I will continue to be a McGregor fan, and I will continue to enjoy his shit-talkiness.
Okay, well, all I can say is if I was wanting fans, I wouldn't want them to be the likes of you who just, hop willy-nilly from liking me to not liking me.
Well, I'm not liking you right now, and we're going to continue with our next segment of the show. And here it goes. Mischa learns stuff.
It's my turn.
It's that time where we can learn a little bit, where we can juice up our brain ball a little bit, soak it in a pool of some slime that is actually really educational knowledge that we can juice into our pores and through our holes and veins into our skin. So what do you have for us today?
Well, I decided I think I'm going to do this new thing where I use my computer and
do whatever you need to do to make sure that this episode is the best for our listeners, because we really want this to be the reason people are listening to the show. Not this segment, but just what the whole show has to offer.
Yeah. I mean, I dressed a little nicer today.
You put clothes on, yeah, and it does look. And
I have
you look
shoes on. I don't think that anybody can tell, but I have
quite
shoes
beautiful.
on.
Yeah, and I don't know why you're wearing those uncomfortable shoes. She's wearing shoes right now that actually give her blisters.
No, these aren't the ones that gave me the blisters.
Okay. Well, still nobody can really see them, but I see them.
They're nice shoes.
They're good shoes. They're expensive shoes. They came from a great shoe store. Very expensive. Moose Shoes. Shouts out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Shouts out to Moose Shoes. Cruelty-free shoe wear. So this is going to be just kind of out of left field for you.
Great.
I decided to do this segment on North Korea.
Oh, I'd love to visit there. I would love to go see it sometime. I actually have heard a lot of really great things about the place. So this is exciting.
Okay, well, what brought this on was that I was listening to another podcast, not ours.
Excellent.
Lex Friedman's podcast.
Lex Friedman, shouts out to you, brother. You're doing good work out there, and man, would love to have you on the show sometime. I know that you got a busy schedule and stuff, as do I, but I think we can work. I think we can make it work out, and I think it'd just be a great time.
So he had a guest recently. Her name is Yeonmi Park.
It's a woman, and her name is Yeonmi,
yeah.
Yeonmi
Yes.
Park.
Yes.
And that's Park isn't a place you go to on the weekends or even the weekdays if it's not too hot on the afternoon.
So she is a North Korean defector who fled.
And if you could, because right out of the gate, I don't even know what a defector is. Basically, it seems like someone who blocks a pass.
She fled her country.
Got it. She's a fleer.
She
Did she do this because she's just unhappy?
Yes, she was immensely unhappy.
Got it.
North Korea.
And that's unfortunate because I've heard it's such a beautiful place.
So we'll start with just kind of throwing out there the obvious, right?
It is above the South Korea's.
That's correct.
Excellent.
North Korea subscribes to communist ideologies, but it's, I think, more considered a socialist state with a totalitarian dictatorship.
So these are people who are probably voting for, like, Bernie? Socialism?
Not exactly.
Okay. But we don't even need to get into it, but I just wanted to know if they were maybe a fan of him. I was a fan of the Bernie.
I can't say that. It's very, very different world over there.
Well, it isn't a different country, so that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So when I think of North Korea, I think of this place that people can't get out of if they want to leave.
Just because travel is so difficult around the place?
Well, the government literally doesn't let people leave.
And that's because of COVID?
No.
They just don't really want people to leave. Is it because they just
they just control the people? That's the totalitarian dictatorship.
So totalitarian basically means kind of total domination.
Yeah, they require complete subservience to the state from all of the people.
Wow, that's respect to that.
So what some of the things she'd confirmed, which, and again, I'm getting my information mostly from this one woman. I listened to the podcast episode. She has a book called In Order to Live. I think she wrote that several years ago. which I would like to read that, but I didn't have time.
That's okay. There's
Before
no harm.
the episode. And
We're really trying to crank these episodes out, trying to provide for the listeners. So I get that.
Yeah. So she confirmed public executions, which I think that's been somewhat controversial at times because
a lot of people don't like it.
Because North Korea has often denied public executions, but many people who have refugees from North Korea have said that they have confirmed public executions, as does Yeonmi Park, which is just insane, right? And they could be, if assuming this is correct, you could be publicly executed for almost anything.
Not having your vaccine card probably is one thing you definitely get executed for.
For fleeing, for having the wrong beliefs about the government, for speaking out, for listening to, watching, somehow getting your hands on
like David Bowie or something.
A South Korean film and watching it, or.
So North Korea is kind of the place that basically does the service of just kind of deciding everything for you.
Yes. And I don't want to emphasize the public execution part too much because I don't think, I think that there was a time when it was happening much more frequent. And I don't know that's part of history, anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all, we all come from worse places. It's all about betterment.
But mostly I just want to talk about some of the interesting things that she said about her own experience. So she, for one, this is a really fascinating fact, if it's so accurate fact. But these are her words, that North Korea has the 4th largest military, but that it is designed to oppress its own people. So even though it is the 4th largest, that U.S., of course, we have the number 1 largest military. So, we would definitely be able to take North Korea out. Not to say they...
Like to dinner? What do you mean by take them out?
If they did, in fact, launch one of those nukes that is said to be able to hit Los Angeles, America, the U.S. would retaliate, and I don't know that would fare so well for North Korea. Not that it would be great for us. I don't know that
we would fare too well either.
Of course not.
Hey, they're going to send a bomb, and then we're just going to shoot one at the same time, and then next thing you know, we're missing 2. Now we're out 2 countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agreed. But I'm just stating the obvious that the U.S. is the bigger military power.
For sure. Well,
However, I find it interesting and a little kind of mind-blowing that they have the 4th biggest military.
I mean, I guess I don't think about it that way. I don't, in no disrespect, I just don't, 4th isn't a place for me. It's 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. It's gold, silver, it's bronze. And if it's not one of those 3, then you're really not you're not in the game. You got to come back in 4 years and maybe try again.
So she also said that
I just want to say that, to me, my opinion, not that big of a deal. 4th, you might as well be last place. In the entire world? You might as well be last.
So she said people die from infection a lot.
I could see that. I could see that being heavy over there, especially with the totalitarianism. Totalitarianism.
That the same needle can be used on multiple patients?
For what? Drawing blood?
Whatever.
No shit.
Yeah.
They're probably giving AIDS everywhere.
That she was operated on as a teenager, or maybe like more of a preteen, without any sedatives, painkiller.
And what happened? And she was having a leg amputated. What was the operation?
I think that it was like they maybe thought she had like a appendicitis or something like that. I thought
you were going to say penis. I'm sorry. I got to keep.
I don't know that it was appendicitis. I
I don't even know.
I don't know what
that
her
is.
ailment was, but she was very sick. She went into the hospital.
Got it.
She could have very well died just from being operated on because
So painful.
because the it's not sanitized.
Well, that
It's
too.
not the same.
Well, yeah, AIDS will kill.
infection.
I mean, how many? Can you look it up really quick? How many people does AIDS kill a year? Since you have your.
This has nothing to do with AIDS, so I'm not going to look it up.
Okay. Well, I just would be curious to know how many people die from AIDS a year, because I think that there's probably a large portion of them coming from the North Koreas.
No.
With the using of sharing of needles, that's how you get AIDS.
I don't think they're.
That's exactly
dying.
how you get AIDS, though, is from sharing needles. No.
That is a way.
And butt sex, from what I've heard. Anal sex. Continue. Those are the ways that I've heard. That growing up, that's how I was told that that's how you get it. That's all I want to say. That's why I say that about the needles.
So, sex trafficking is one of the ways that people are saving children, which sounds
Big
like a
business
total
over there? Is that what you're saying?
oxymoron, but
Sex
hear
trafficking.
me out.
Okay.
So she was sold.
Jeez.
This is how she got out of North Korea.
What was her price? Did she talk about price?
She actually did talk about price.
And you don't remember the price?
No.
God, that's such good information.
She was sold along with her mother to into sex trafficking.
And what do they do?
Get into
And they're doing
China.
Oh God, okay.
So she said that a lot of people that the woman who was like doing some of the smuggling of these children into China sold her own daughters into the
That's
sex
how you know
trade.
you're in a pinch. That's how you know you're in a pinch.
Exactly. The fact that she feels that her daughters are better off being sold into the sex trade in China than they are to live in North Korea.
Well, maybe they're just kind of treated better in China in the sex labor industry. Maybe they're just treated better.
Try not to be too insensitive. We're talking about
No.
sex trafficking of
100%.
minors.
Well, first of all, you didn't say minors.
Well, I told you that she was a child.
I assume that they kind of grow up into the business and it's just a thing that they do as like an adult.
Well, even if they are adults.
Sure, it's probably not the best business to be in.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Okay.
But
we can agree on that.
But she, Yeonmi Park, actually says that she is grateful for being sex trafficked.
That's insane.
Because she says she would not be alive today.
Like she would have been killed in North Korea?
Yes.
Did she say kind of what would have been the reason, or would she have just killed herself?
I don't think necessarily she was talking about being executed, although now she is. Now she says that she's very wanted by North Korea, and that they would like to assassinate her. But she could have died of starvation. She could have died of infection. Lots of people. They had a huge famine in the 90s.
Did you say salmon?
Famine.
Famine. And define famine.
A mass famine where there was not enough food to feed the country and people were just starving.
Famine means no food.
Yes.
Got it.
So that came about ultimately because the Soviet Union stopped giving aid to North Korea.
And Soviet Union is Russia for people to know.
So after they stopped giving aid to North Korea, North Koreans also got hit with like a big flood, and then I think a drought followed, and so conditions were dismal. And
you're using words that I don't.
They were gloomy. They were bad.
Okay, those are better. I like those words. Those are good.
So, but here I'm going back so far, but this is a lot of famine there, a lot of people dying. And that she, for one, and a lot of people are still hungry there today. She claims.
Well, first of all, everyone is always hungry. It's a thing that human beings need. They need to eat. So we're always going to be hungry.
She claims that Kim Jong-un, who is the dictator
He's not
of
a very good guy.
North Korea. Yes,
Right.
she claims
He's in some movies, actually. He was in a movie, I think, with Seth
no, he probably
Rogen.
wasn't actually in it.
Well, I'm pretty
But
sure I saw
him
him
and
with it.
his predecessors, they have apparently have been known to deny certain amounts of charity going into the country because they don't want. It's like, hey, I take care of you. Nobody else takes care of you. During the famine, they would be in trouble if they called it a famine, if they called it starvation, if they called it anything like that, because the leaders didn't want to look bad, like they couldn't take care of their people.
I mean, to be completely honest, I feel like if I was living in North Korea and I was a North Korean man and you were a North Korean woman and our child came home from school and was trying to talk about famine, I would be upset too. I would not want them to be speaking about the famine.
Because you wouldn't want them to be experiencing it?
I just don't even like the way it sounds.
Well, I don't think you have to worry about that.
And I don't. And that's what's one of the really beautiful things about being an American today.
Well, there's
born in America,
child hunger in America,
and there's sex trafficking jobs available and stuff. There's everything. There is a land of opportunity here in America, and that is one of the joys of being in this country.
So she goes into China, and then she ultimately, I think, then from China she ends up going to Mongolia, then to South Korea, and now she lives in the U.S. Her story is very fascinating from what I gathered, and I do look forward to reading her book. The last little bit I'll say about her is,
how old is she now?
I think she's 29 or something like that. She's
crazy.
In her late 20s.
So it's just kind of crazy to think about.
And I think she came out of North Korea around the age of 15.
That's crazy to think that they're still doing that kind of stuff over there. That seems like, it sounds weird to say, but it seems like such an old thing to be doing.
To controlling people?
Well, no, I guess I just assume that that whole sex trafficking kind of, I forget, you don't see it, you don't hear it very often, you don't hear of it. I just assume, I'm like, oh, it seems like something that would have happened in the past.
Oh gosh.
It doesn't seem like
it's all over.
It's all over, right? No, I forget that. And it's because I'm not on the dark interwebs. I'm certainly not looking. And I'm not shopping for anything. So probably why I'm not really seeing any of it. But it's crazy that that's just a thing that happens.
Yeah.
We're just sold as sexual cattle. But instead of cows, we're actually human beings with skin.
Yeah, we do have skin. So this surprised me in what she said. So you don't have the right to free speech. And I do want to say that all of this negative talk about North Korea, clearly neither you or I have gone. Apparently you would really like to visit.
I've heard it's a very beautiful place.
There are cities where you would probably, if you could teleport there, it probably wouldn't look all too bad.
Well, teleportation is not even possible.
Okay.
So
well,
it's impossible to do.
The capital of North Korea is Pyongyang. And from what I hear, from what I've read, that you can be there and it's like you'll see bustling shops and restaurants and people who aren't just dressed in muted colors, and it'll appear like
they normally dress in just mutes.
She said there's very little color wherever she was. Yeah. But I don't know.
You would have done well over there when you had your when you were yellow. You could have. Is
that an Asian joke?
No, it's not an Asian joke. It's a jaundice joke.
Why?
Because there's not a lot of color. You would stand out. You could do well over there.
Got it.
When you're yellow.
And I don't know. I don't know that they're all dressed in muted colors.
I wasn't making an Asian joke. I just want to be clear to the listeners. That was not what I was doing. Okay. I was making a jaundice joke. I would have made a better Asian joke if I was going to make an Asian joke, and now I feel like I'm going to have to at some point. And respect to my all my Asian family and friends.
I guess so. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, that that you could be in some areas like the capital where life doesn't look so bad, and there's even people in the private sector who are beginning to have money, and it's not just all of the state. I think some of that money is like kind of illegal, like they've somehow been able to smuggle. Well, if it's
paying for child sex favors, then yeah, the money is 100% illegal.
All right, well, any of this information is probably just going to be so confusing to anybody.
I think everyone's getting this information. This is all super juicy stuff.
Well, basically, don't listen. I just hope they can cherry pick the little bits that I'm saying and disregard your 2 cents, because it is a little bit confusing. But as I said, the last thing I wanted to say that she had mentioned was when she was talking about free speech, and that is non-existent in North Korea. She said that her own mother told her, this is her quote, "Don't even whisper because the birds and the mice will hear you."
Jeez, that's crazy that they're even listening.
That because they're all level of concern for the words that come out of your mouth, and that the words that come out of your mouth are that dangerous there.
That they've even teamed up with the freaking animals.
That you can end up in a labor camp where you are working very hard for prolonged hours every day without enough nourishment, that you can starve to death in a labor camp, that you can there was a man talking about, he just kept not making it out of North Korea. He kept being sent back. Somebody from China would out him and he would be deported back to North Korea, and when the North Koreans would get him back, of course they would punish him. He talked about
spank on the ass.
He talked about being, he's in this detention center or whatever you call it, where when he would be told to go see whatever authority figure he needed to talk to, the men there would have to crawl, and they would be kicked by the guards on their crawl to whoever they had to go talk to. So, I mean, just insane human cruelty, right? So what I'm getting to is
shouts to
no shouts.
I'm just saying shouts to just trying to get out of there, and to getting your ass slapped and getting us spanking a kick around. So before I say this last part, and just shouts to trying to get out and be free.
Before I say this last part, I would
like
to
out of
say
that swelter of a place.
This is devastating that there are human beings being treated in this manner on this earth, and the world looks on and is not really doing anything to help the North Koreans. This woman, Yeonmi Park, says that China is not really helping. They're actually funding a lot of it because they are giving funds to North Korea and they are trading with North Korea. And the reason that they don't put a stop to the Kim regime is because they would then have to deal with so many North Korean refugees, and they wouldn't know how to. They either wouldn't know how to deal with them.
Well, China's just got too many people.
Or they wouldn't want to deal with them. And that the U.S. is the same way. And that's the reason that we are not helping.
Okay.
So
fascinating.
I just want to say that because you sound super insensitive in everything you're saying. And we're talking about people who have experienced so much malnutrition through their childhood and adolescence that they didn't even grow to being as the size that they would have if they had eaten right.
Is that real?
That is real. She is 85 pounds.
Holy smokes.
Because she spent so much of her childhood and adolescence not having enough food.
That's crazy.
So when she was trying to have a baby, because she really wanted to have a baby, she was 75 pounds at that time.
Oh my God.
75-year-old woman. I mean, sorry.
You are you're confusing the listeners more than me.
75-pound woman. Look, I will say the last things. We've been on North Korea way too long.
Way too long for such a small country.
And this is what I was getting to with the free speech.
Just get it out.
This is what I was getting to with the free speech. That she talks about the lack of free speech in North Korea. And then she said when she finally moved to the United States that she believed she was moving to a truly free country.
Well, she is right.
And she was very disheartened when she began attending Columbia University and seeing how much censorship existed at that school and that exists in the United States.
Censorship in the way of what?
In the way of getting canceled and how you can't say what you'd like to say without being concerned that
someone's going to come after you.
Somebody's going to come after you.
And your career or something like that.
Exactly.
Not have you get the audition.
We're talking about somebody who experienced a
Extreme
totalitarian
oppression. Could you call it oppression?
And absolute oppression.
See that, everyone?
Moves
Just let's
to
let
the
everyone
United
know that.
States and is critical of the lack of free speech here. That says something. That really says something.
It really does say something.
I guess I'm done.
It says something. And her book is, one more time, what is her book called?
Well,
it's just good for listeners to know, because I'm sure that a lot of people after this episode are really going to be wanting to listen to some.
It's called In Order to Live.
Yeonmi
Park.
Sorry, say it again.
Yeonmi Park, In Order to Live.
Oh, wow. That is crazy stuff. Crazy stuff to really think about when it comes to really just kind of infants being sold as property. That isn't okay.
Well, I never said infants, but I wouldn't doubt that there hasn't been an infant sold into the sex slave trade.
Well, just the fact that that's even a thing. It's like, don't force someone into a business unless they want to be in the business. Especially when they're so young. I mean, I started out working at a grocery store. That was my first job. I was stocking shelves. It's just, it's fucked up. It's fucked up, and people should be able to kind of make their own decisions and decide what they want to do with their own lives. And this is complete disrespect to you, North Korea. Okay,
but also, you say North Korea and you're talking to everybody who lives there. So
no. This is okay. Well, let me.
And you can't group. You can't group all North Koreans in together.
And
some
of
them are probably happy with their government, and they do.
First of all, you know that I'm not going to group them together. But here is what I will say: for all of you North Koreans who are into the totalitarianism and who are into the Kim Jums, I want you to know here and now that you are not on my side, and I am not on your side. And I'm talking to you now and hearing you. If you write into this, and I will listen to you. But what I'm saying and speaking in this moment in this podcast is that you are unwelcome here. And we're actually a pretty accepting group over here at Heavy Bangs. But I want to let you know that if you want to come on the podcast, we would happy to have you. We'd be happy to have you on the podcast to kind of figure out why you're operating this way, to figure out why you're selling children as sexual ornaments.
Okay, we already figured that part out. That was because in many ways they're trying to get them out of North Korea.
I would like to hear it from them.
That's from her.
That's from her. I'm talking about the actual people who are running the total government.
Okay, well, they're not the same people who are selling the children out of North Korea. Those are different people. Those people are trying to keep them in.
It's kind of like a domino effect. That's what I know. So this is what I know is that I don't have respect for anybody who's selling children as sex. And I'll say that again. If you are selling innocent, beautiful spiritual beings that are just being born into these little bodies as inappropriate things, you are not a friend of mine.
The author of that book, In Order to Live, she says that life is so complex. Being human is so complex that you cannot judge. This woman sold her own children so that they could leave North Korea because she thought it might be better for them. And Yeonmi Park herself, having been sold into the sex trade, made her way to the U.S., where today she's actually very successful, it appears online, if you check out her Instagram. So let's stop the judgments, because we don't understand what it's like to be in that mother's shoes.
You're taking this all the wrong way.
Well, I'm not, because you said that if you're somebody who is selling children in the sex slave, you're not a fan of
Here's
them.
What I'm saying. If someone is selling children in the sex slave game, I'm not a fan. And I don't, and life is complex. You know that I know that how complex it is.
I don't know that you really know.
I think I do. And I think I do. And what I do want to say is that if you are that kind of person, I know you're doing it for a reason, but that doesn't mean I agree with it.
So what?
So what? So what
You
is it?
can't begin. You cannot begin to judge somebody or decide
here's
what
where I'm
you
gonna
might
correct
have
you
done
again.
better
You're saying that
when
I'm
you
judging.
are not in their shoes.
Here's the deal, lady. I'm not judging anybody.
You are when you say that you don't agree with somebody's behavior.
I don't
that
agree
is
with
passing judgment.
I'm not passing judgment, just don't agree with it. And that's totally fine.
Let's move on. What comes after North Korea today?
I'm gonna have to get a new co-host, you guys. And it's not because I don't love her with all my heart. It's just I think it might be better for the show. What I am saying is just to not sell children. If you're gonna sell anything, sell cars. First of all, probably make a fucking hell of a lot more money. And you get some more miles or whatever. And there's obviously a lot of fuel efficient vehicles and a lot of hybrids out today that you probably make a fucking great penny on. So you can also, the shoe business is never going to go out of business. People will always be wearing shoes. So if you're going to get into any sort of business, get into a retail business. The
shoe store that I worked at went out of business during the pandemic.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you here now. And it's hard when it's a plant-based shoe company, because there's not a lot of people who understand it. So it's more of a kind of a special market. It's a special market. And is it sad that they went out of business? Yes, they were my favorite shoe store. And shouts to Moose Shoes, shouts to you guys. I love you. But here's what I am going to say.
They also have a
if you have
location in New York,
and
you
they
can order
do,
online.
And they do. And that's why I still gave them a shouts, because I know they're still in biz. But what I am saying is that if you want to run a successful business, open a cooking supply store, open a mattress storage center. People will always need a place to put their mattress. People will always need things to cook with. That's what I'm saying. There are so many other things in this world that you can do aside from selling children for sexual favors. That's all I'm saying, and that's all I want to say about it. Okay.
You say that at an ironic time when so many small businesses are no longer in business and we're forced to close down.
Well, are they selling children for sex?
No, they're doing the opposite. They're doing what you said they should do. They're making mattresses and what was the other one? Kitchen cooking supply stores?
Yeah, kitchen cooking supply stores and mattress storage centers.
All that stuff.
Like, I have not seen one mattress storage center since I've been alive. But I know plenty of people who don't know where to put the mattresses. So there's really no issue here. There's not an issue, and that's fine that you don't agree. Because we're married doesn't mean we need to agree on everything. That's not how this works. If anything, I think we disagree more than anything. That's what's supposed to happen. I don't know. I'm figuring this out. This is my first go. Anyway, it's that time of the day where we kind of fix things up and we kind of turn this kind of child depressing sex, sell children for infant pleasure. And we're going to get out of this and kind of touch into a more positive, kind of light, uplifting place. Thank you.
Motivational speech of the day.
It's that time to feel better. It's that time to forget about North Korea and how awful they can be to children and even their own selves. It's time to move on. It's time to move forward. And I think that you and I should also move forward with it as well. Let's move on. Let's move past it. It's time to lift people up. How are we going to do that today? What is the word that we should use to lift people up today? What is the word that people want to hear?
Laundry.
The word that people laundry. Laundry, yes. It's important. That stuff costs money. Everything costs money. Everything. Cars cost money. Your ceiling fan is also going to cost money at the store. Buying children for sex also costs money as well. Everything literally costs money. You can't do that without clean clothes. You can't do that without clothes. What are even clothes? Those cost money. See what I'm saying? Everything is there. You need to wash yourself. You need to wash off the dirt. Life can do that to you. Life can get you so fucking dirty and can rain on you. Sometimes it'll even hail depending on the geographic location in which you are and the current climate. Then once it starts hailing, it could even snow if things turn up. If it dips back down in temperature, it might just continue to rain. But with rain comes mud. And with mud comes dirt and sludge. It also, you need to have rugs when you have mud for the house, for when you go inside. You need to have a place to put your shoes when you get inside. Otherwise, you're just going to track that inside, and you're going to have a freaking a Hoover vacuum come over and clean it up, or a Stanley steamer come and clean your carpets. That's not how you want to live your life. You want to live your life clean, and you want to live your life fresh. And I wash my clothes with Tide sometimes. Not all the time. A lot of times I'll use kind of more of a natural, maybe off-brand or even a higher brand. I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even really pay for it. My beautiful queen does. But one thing I do know is that I'm always doing laundry and I'm always cleaning our clothes because I want us to present ourselves in a way that is a respectable manner. And I actually know the guy at the laundromat really well. And he's offered me to come over and drink tequila. And that's just a completely different story. Right now, we're trying to motivate people, not trying to get them into a bit of a buzz. But what I am saying here and now is that you can take your grandmother to the store and you can buy her clothes and you can wash her clothes for her because she's getting old and she doesn't even know how to really use the machines anymore. And you can do that because if you wash your clothes, you're going to wash your life. And that's what we need to do. We got to get out this sickness. There's so much sickness in our human nature nowadays. There's so much totalitarianism and so much yellow jaundice going on and so much just bad sexual things happening to us. And what we need to do is get that out. And what we need to do is not have Kratom. Because sometimes you need to not have Kratom so you can kind of spray your ejaculate and get it out. And if you get that out, you're getting out negativity. You're releasing the negative toxins. And that's what laundry's doing too. It's freshening up. And that's what you want to do with life is you want to freshen up. Because we only got one. And I've said that before, but we only got one. And it's important to love your mother. And it's important to love your wife. No matter if she upsets you sometimes because she's speaking over you a little bit on your own podcast, it doesn't matter. It's just let her have her moment, then she'll shut up. And it'll be okay. And get through it. Just let her speak. Just let her have that moment and just hope to God that she will just do laundry once. And if she doesn't, that's okay. And that's okay because life goes on. And as long as you are making an active effort to put things in the dirty clothes, to know when you got to kind of wash them off and put new ones on them, but put them on them after they've been dried. You don't want to get a kind of a wetness on your skin. But anyway, I don't really know where I'm going with this one, but I just want to say that it is important to make sure and get change before you go. Because actually a lot of laundromats don't really take dollars, at least the ones that I'm going to. The Lavandrias, they're all coin-based unless you have an app. So if you don't have an iPhone, bring change. And if you don't have change, don't kill yourself. Keep living. And know that life will get better. And just be grateful that you weren't sold as a small child to have sexual activities to be done to you. And if you were, unfortunately one of those people, I am very sorry. And my heart is out to you that no one should ever be raised that way. But I hope that you, like the woman that we had spoke about earlier on the podcast, was able to turn it into kind of a beautiful, positive thing and maybe even write a book about it and be wanted by the actual country of North Korea. That's pretty awesome. To be in demand like that has got to say a lot. So just put your best foot forward, put yourself out there, and just know that we are going to be good and we're going to be clean, and we're just use the fabric softener because it does help get the static electricity out of your clothes.